A bitter, freezing morning in the deep Pacific Northwest woods offers a specific kind of isolation. For a solo elk hunter navigating a massive stretch of private, heavily timbered land he knows by heart, that silence is usually a comfort. That morning, the silence broke when he spotted an anomaly deep in a steep ravine. It was a sprawling, makeshift hunting blind, patched together out of dirty, rotting tarps and held together with the rib cages of dead deer. A structure like that, miles from any trail, changes the way you look at the brush. The isolation is no longer peaceful. Every rustle in the leaves now feels like it has a specific direction and an intent. The hunter made a tactical retreat, backing out of the ravine and hiking miles across the property to his own elevated tree stand. But when he arrived, he found his thick safety climbing rope had been sliced halfway through. Scanning the heavy brush through his rifle scope, he finally saw what was waiting for him. Just 40 yards away, crouching perfectly still in the undergrowth, was a pale, emaciated man in rotting camouflage gear. The man wasn't holding a gun. He was holding the hunter's spare fixed-blade knife, left in the tree stand earlier that morning. He looked directly into the scope, smiled, and slowly placed the knife onto a wooden stump before slipping backward into the shadows. The hunter bolted for his truck and contacted local authorities. Days later, a police raid sweeping that exact grid of the property unearthed a sophisticated underground squatter bunker concealed near the ravine. The items recovered from the bunker revealed the squatter's focus. Investigators found stolen driver's licenses scattered across a ruskied table, tucked next to candid Polaroid photos of other hunters sleeping inside their tents. A human stalker is a known quantity. We understand how their malice works, but it's much harder to prepare for a threat that doesn't follow those same rules. Moving from the quiet pines of the Northwest to the swamps of southern Louisiana introduces an entirely different environment. At dusk, the bayou is claustrophobic, hot, and aggressively loud with the sound of insects and wildlife. Two men hunting feral hogs secured a massive 200-pound boar right at sunset. Because of the animal's weight, they left the carcass in a small mud clearing and hiked back out to retrieve their vehicle. This diagram shows the exact layout of the clearing upon their return, 20 minutes later. The boar was gone. Notice how the highlighted area reveals no drag marks, broken brush, or blood trails radiating outward. Moving 200 pounds of dead weight through deep mud creates friction, yet the ground remained undisturbed. Sweeping the area with their flashlights, the beam finally caught a reflection straight up. The massive boar was wedged securely into the crook of a thick cypress branch, 30 feet high in the canopy. Instantly, the ambient noise of the Louisiana swamp cut out entirely. The crickets, the frogs, and the birds all went silent. From the high branches directly above the impaled hog, the men heard wet, heavy breathing. Then a voice echoed down from the dark leaves, a pitch-perfect mimicry of the older hunter's voice, repeating the exact phrase he had used moments before. They ran through the dark swamp water toward the main road. Above them, they could hear heavy thuds as something dropped from branch to branch, keeping pace with them through the trees. They burst through the final tree line and threw themselves into the truck, slamming the locks. Instantly, the heavy metal roof of the cab buckled inward, as if something with immense weight had dropped onto it from the sky. Escaping an unknown animal is a matter of speed, but it is much harder to outrun a predator that can use your own voice to play games with you. The Alaskan backcountry in winter is a place of total extremes. During a multi-day survival trip, it is pitch black, freezing, and entirely isolated from any signs of human life. At 2 a.m., the total silence of the frozen wilderness was broken by a wailing cry coming from the dark tree line. It was the distinct sound of a human infant. One brother immediately unzipped his sleeping bag, fumbling for his boots and a flashlight, but the other caught his arm. He was looking at the thermometer. It was -10 degrees, and he knew they were days away from the nearest house. He had to physically hold his brother down to keep him from running out into the snow. They lay trapped on the floor of the tent, listening as the crying continued just beyond the light. The sound began to move. The infant's wail started circling the perimeter of the tent, at a speed that no human could maintain while navigating through deep, dark snow. The crying stopped mid-breath. In its place, a deep, guttural chuckle resonated through the fabric, sounding like it was exhaled only inches away from their faces. They watched a single, elongated point, like a sharp fingernail, press firmly into the illuminated nylon wall, slowly dragging down the exterior fabric. This diagram shows what they found outside at dawn. These icons map the path of the entity, a perfectly unbroken geometric circle of large, bare feet, looping endlessly around the tent in the sub-zero snow. When sight and logic no longer provide an advantage, the forest becomes a very different place. You realize that out here, the role of the predator is something that has to be earned, and it isn't always held by the person carrying the rifle.